Welcome to Big Fish Small World TV. I'm a travel curator and I'm a single mom with a 12-year-old son. I'm a Texas girl living here in Bangkok. And actually, I just hit a crazy growth spurt here on this channel. So first of all, thank y'all. Thank every single last one of y'all for subscribing. And since a lot of y'all are new, I did want to take some time really to just go over some of the real questions that people ask me about basically this whole entire move, like why I did it and just really everything, and just giving it from the perspective of someone who's here with a kid. Basically when I secured it in my mind, okay, I'm moving abroad. It was no longer just something I thought of, something that I was hoping and wishing for. Once that actually became my mindset, I knew it was time to start planning and taking actionable steps toward making it a reality. So when it came to planning, I knew that I had to, of course, figure out how long I was in my current lease. So I figured out, of course, when that date wasn't hard to figure out, and plan on, of course, leaving that situation. I had a 2-bedroom condo I was renting, so I didn't have a home to sell or anything like that. But we had been in our home for 5 years. So there was a lot of stuff, I guess you could say, that had been accumulated over time. And I think that was one of the big missteps that I actually had, is that I didn't immediately start planning on what I was going to do with my things. So the actionable steps were that once I actually figured out what day I was going to be moving out, I really should have started planning all of this, but that's not what happened. So what actually took place was I waited all the way until I knew that I was going to be leaving my condo, what day that I was planning on leaving. And I just started putting all of the things that I had available on Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, and also I had a ridiculous amount of clothes and so I bagged up a lot of those, and I initially started taking them to like consignment shops or secondhand shops, I guess, and trying to see if I could get any sort of profit for them. But I would get so upset because a lot of things were brand new, or I'd spent, so much money on things that I didn't feel good trying to sell them for such low cost. But in the end, a lot of the clothes that I ended up not selling, I ended up giving away to, who did I have come? I had Salvation Army. Yes, I had Salvation Army come to my condo and basically pick up all of the excess items that I did not sell. So I started first. I put tons of clothes and shoes and different things like that on Facebook Marketplace. And I did sell a good amount of those. I sold a lot of my furniture, my bed, Grant's bed. I sold so many things really quickly using Facebook Marketplace. So that was probably my number one place where I sold items. And then I had a lot of things that were, things that I initially didn't want to have to give up, and I wanted to see if I could have a friend or someone hold them for me, because it wasn't a lot of things. It was like those tubs, and I put as much stuff as I could put into those. And then I still had, even then, a ton of clothes that I ended up having to leave behind that I really didn't want to have to leave behind. I just kind of have a hoarder spirit when it comes to that kind of a thing. But I did basically, I gave away a ton of things. The condo unit that I lived in back home, we had a WhatsApp group. And so I put in the WhatsApp group, and I did sell a few items from there. But then I also just gave away, like I said, tons of things. And I would say Salvation Army is amazing. So for anybody who's planning, in the US, as far as getting rid of your things, if you're not looking for a profit or anything to that, anything like that. And then of course you do get the donation credit and slip as well that you can use later on your taxes. But when they come, they will literally pick up whatever it is you tell them that you have. And so initially I told them a dining room table. It was also my sofa and probably 15 bags of clothes and shoes and children's books and just all kinds of things like that I'd accumulated over the last like 5 or 6 years, and even probably before then, because of course I came into my condo with things, of course, as well. And so in the end, I donated, sold what I could on Facebook Marketplace, and gave away a lot of things to friends and family members, just so that they could have those items. And some things eventually in the end just went into the trash because there was nobody who either wanted it, or I gave that headache up. But what I would suggest, and what I definitely did incorrectly, is I did not start doing that until literally a couple of weeks before I was needing to be out of my condo. And so that last day being in my condo, I was very stressed, just trying to get everything out while the people were trying to come in to like paint and get it all prepared for the next tenant, because I also helped with making sure that there was a tenant in my unit as well. I had a private owner, so that's a whole other story. But yeah, I would say planning is key when it comes to moving abroad, especially, I would say, for anyone, of course, but definitely, if you're going to be bringing your children along, you should know what you're going to be having. Think about what they're going to be wearing. Think about what you're going to need to wear. Think about how many, bags you're going to be bringing, and logistically, if it makes sense for you financially to, have to pay for extra baggage, if you're going to even have space to keep your extra items in your new place as well. So consider all of those factors. But that was basically how I began and, executed basically the process of moving abroad with myself and my son. I chose Thailand because I'd come previously for vacation, and I just really enjoyed the people. When I initially came, I was here and I visited in Phuket. That was where we vacationed, and I really did enjoy. Like I said, I enjoyed the city. I enjoyed like the food. I enjoyed the atmosphere. But the only thing is that I'm more of a city girl. I've always kind of lived in a city, and I really wouldn't want to adjust that living in a beach town, I guess you could kind of consider Phuket. I know it has a lot more going on. It's not just a little town, but the way that I felt when I was there is it seemed like that everything was so stretched out and so far in between one another. Like it would take an hour in a car to get to, each place. And so for that reason, I was really like, okay, well, Bangkok seems more my speed. I love the transportation options available as far as like the train, and just the infrastructure of the city is definitely more my speed. And so that was how I ended up deciding to come to Bangkok specifically. And when I came in, just thinking about Thailand overall, it's a very safe place. And there's a lot going on in the US. So with as much as going on in the US, it seemed like the best plan for me to move to a place where I felt completely safe. It doesn't matter what time of day or night that I'm out walking around. I don't feel like I need to be worried about my safety, not in a sense, as long as I'm not playing in the street or, something crazy to that effect. I feel like this is a very safe environment. I've gone places and, had a few people looking at me and everything, and I'm pretty sure I stand out. I live in a, very local area where majority of everyone around here are just Thai locals. So I'm sure myself and my son stand out whenever we go places. But while I have maybe seen some people staring and things like that, it's never in an intrusive manner. No one has looked at me and made me feel uncomfortable or made me feel like they're upset with me or anything like that. So I would say overall safety and the peaceful vibes that you get, I love Thailand for that reason. And that was a huge factor in why I decided to come here. Now, I've only ever experienced traditional school. So when I say traditional school, that's the go to school at whatever time, 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, stay there for your 8 hours, and then end your school day, come home. So that's the only kind of school that I've actually ever participated in myself, aside from college, where I did a lot of that online. A lot of my experience has just been that. So when I initially was thinking about, okay, Grant's going to need to go to school, I initially thought, okay, find a public school in Thailand and see what options they have. I thought maybe there would be some schools that were public schools but still spoke English. And to my understanding from the research I did, and I really, honestly, I did all of this on simply doing a Google search and throwing in that I was looking for options for school on YouTube. And that's how I ended up discovering everything. So it's really easily available, but I'll definitely include some links to where my son goes to school as well. But when it comes to school, I wanted him to be in an environment where he was able to speak English. He is an English speaking child. And with him already being 12, I do know that it's not the easiest thing at that type of age to start trying to learn a completely new language. And so initially I considered public school, and then I realized they were either like 100% to sometimes 50% English speaking. And so I decided that wouldn't work for us. And so then that's when I segued into looking into the international schools. And the school that I really wanted him to go to, like I said, it cost almost $30,000 annually for him to go. And so that's just out of my price range. I couldn't afford that. I just could not afford that. I would pay that if I could afford that, but I couldn't. So I just started looking into other options, and then some of the ones that were more cost effective, but even still kind of pricey. I think the one that I think one of the lower cost ones I saw was about like $5,000 annually, which it's not nothing, but it's still it's definitely better than almost $30,000 annually. And so that's when I started looking into homeschool options. I know they have like K through 12, Connections Academy, all different kinds of homeschool options that you can use. And a lot of them are free, but a lot of the free options that are available do require your student to be in class. And so that was a big factor with them being US based, because with them being US based, of course, the time difference. And so I would feel not good parenting to try to have him be up, 8 o'clock in the morning to whatever time frame, these classes would be going on, because for me or for him, that would be like 8 p.m. to whenever that would end. And so that just wasn't something that I could do. And so then I just dug a little deeper and I found other homeschool online options. And what I did to try to figure out what I wanted most was to be able to have documentation and a great parent, a good parent dashboard, so that way I could review what he's learning, how often he's having to take assessments, just basically be able to watch his progress as he goes. And then also for him to have on another end an option or ability to communicate with the other students. And so even though there are no classrooms or anything like that in Mia Academy, it still does offer, like, they have like a whole little world. I won't go into all the little details. I'll probably maybe do a video separate just about Mia Academy. But when it came to him interacting, he can upload videos from other students, get his friends' information. They can chit chat back and forth with one another. And it's something that's only accessible to other students who are part of the Mia Academy program, which we have met other parents who are here whose children are using Mia Academy for learning. So he has been able to connect with those students as well on the program. And so Mia Academy is a program that does give report cards, it gives transcripts, it gives all those kinds of things that would be good for when you want to re-enroll, or if you want to re-enroll your student back in traditional school. You do have the documentation to show what they've been doing in the meantime. And I would just definitely suggest, side note, but check on, the requirements for your state. I know for the state of Texas, they don't require any sort of registering or anything to that nature. Basically, if you're ever asked about what your child is doing when it comes to homeschooling, is you just have to provide the curriculum that they're using. So for me, that would be Mia Academy, and that basically gives them everything that they would need to know about the program. They're not monitoring you, making sure that they go to school on, this certain amount of time or anything to that effect. All we do is do the work that we want to do. And if I want to give him a day off because we're doing something or we're traveling or whatever the case may be, I do have the flexibility and options to do that. And so that's one of the other reasons that I really do love Mia Academy. And so for him on a daily basis, I am able to set his curriculum for what I want it to be. He has core classes. He also has extracurricular things. He does have like physical fitness, sign language, Bible studies, all different kinds of things that the parent can actually customize into their daily curriculum. And they receive a learning path, and they earn points and coins and all kinds of things that they can buy, clothes for their avatar. And basically it kind of gives it to him like it's a game. He seems to really enjoy it. He knows it's work. And so every once in a while, there's, things to talk about when it comes to that. But overall, I've been happy so far with the Mia Academy program, and we're currently on about 2 months in, but we're liking it so far. I joined a lot of expat groups. Well, not a lot. I'm a member of like 3 expat groups here in Bangkok, and in one in particular, they do a monthly brunch. And so I attended the monthly brunch, and there I met a woman who has 2 sons here in Bangkok. And so I've been able to have play dates set and him be able to hang out with students, not students, but children, his own age. And then we've also like just met up and done different things. Like one of her sons had a birthday recently, and we went to go celebrate his birthday with them. And then we also have met up and gone to a water park. And I think we have another play date set here for the next couple of days or so. But I would say that's probably been one of the bigger challenges, is finding kids his age, because I have noticed that a lot of people who do come here, they have children who are either like close to being out of school, if they're not out of school, like graduating like late teens, or they're like really young, or maybe not even school age yet, so they're not really having to worry about these things. But I would definitely say, for me, one of the things that I was apprehensive when it came to my son being able to, be here, was me thinking, I'm not a teacher. I'm not going to be able to, help him learn as well as I thought. So finding a program that worked for that definitely helped socially as well, because with the program that he uses, like I said, he also is able to engage with the other students. So that's one way for him to be social. And when it comes to him like making friends out, that has been kind of a challenge, because when it comes to the language barrier, especially people with children, I don't feel as comfortable just, walking up to them. But I would say a great way to engage with other parents is definitely join the expat groups. I have a lot of parents that I've connected with who are letting me know that they'll be on their way and coming to Bangkok soon, and they're not quite here yet, but I'm definitely open to play dates and whatever may be available. We love being social, and we just I love being able to have him be around people his own age, because he's around me all the time, and not necessarily say that he's stuck around me, but he is around me a lot. And so having him engage with people his own age definitely, I think, is beneficial to him as well as to me. It gives me peace of mind knowing that he can, make friends with others and just really be able to engage with kids his age and have some real fun and conversations where he's not explaining what their Gen Alpha slang even means. I would say for me personally, I guess the hardest part about solo parenting for me is just the fact that I am by myself. Like I only have myself to go on when it comes to me trying to figure out what is, what's on the agenda, what we're going to do today, what's Grant eating for today. So for every little thing that he needs, every little thing that we do, I'm the go-to person for it. Yes, it is what I signed up for, but sometimes that can be hard when sometimes I just want to relax. Like sometimes I don't want to do anything and don't want to cook and don't want to be, in mom mode all the time. So that's when I would say parenting solo becomes slightly an issue, because it's not like I have family here. It's not like I can say, okay, do you want to go to your grandma's house? It's not like I can say, do you want to go to your dad's house? It's just me and him. And so I definitely try to be engaging, and I do allow him to go and play like video games where he can engage with other students, but not students, I keep saying students, but other kids. But monitoring that, can become a headache. And I am a, rules-based mom. If I can't get you to, complete your math work today because, it's gotten challenging and now you're shutting down. It's like working through that, helping him understand how to do the things. There is such thing as they have new math now. So I'll have to go and, relearn whatever it is that they're doing. And then, switch into a mode where I'm able to teach him what I just learned. And so that can sometimes be a bit of a hassle, and just kind of balancing between, being the fun mom and then also the mom that, has requirements about what needs to be done. So yeah, I would say that's something that has been kind of a bit of a challenge as far as solo parenting, and the every once in a while attitudes. Like, he is growing up. He's, 12 years old now. So opinions are opinions, and he thinks he knows a lot more than he actually does. So that's something that we're working on, and just using good words and good terms when we're speaking, and how we're speaking to one another and others as well. Well, when it comes to like chasing a vibe, I guess you could say I'm usually down. I'm usually down for a good time, but I would say everything in moderation. When I initially got here and I was going to a lot of the expat groups, group outings and events that were going on, of course, a lot of those are going to, night lifestyle events. I think one of the first ones that I went to was a pool party, and that was, alcohol and hookahs and all kinds of things. So of course these are places that I'm not taking my son there. So I'm going out on my own, but I'm definitely still enjoying the city when it comes to that. At my age, it's not my number one priority, but I definitely need those moments where I can just step away and just go and enjoy a drink and just be an adult and not hear mommy, for a little bit, and just enjoy, being a lady, having a reason to put on something cute and go out and meet people. And I do enjoy meeting people. It's something that I'm working on, because I am not the best when it comes to like going and mixing and mingling and trying to network and meet new people. I'm not the best at it, or at least I've not been the best at it in the past, but I'm definitely working on it and putting myself out there in different situations, because in most cases I would like to go places with others. And so here I don't have the others necessarily to go, go as many new places as I would like to go to. So here I just have to show up to wherever it is that I'm going and just try my best to meet people and just be engaging with others myself, so that way people feel comfortable engaging back with me. I'm so used to kind of sitting back and just enjoying the vibes, but I usually have somebody with me, so it's not like an awkward enjoying the vibes moment. I'm actually able to truly enjoy myself. So here it's different. I know I have to actually put some work into it, so that's something that is definitely new to me, but I'm working on it. I do try to carve out creative work time, just to be myself and an adult. So I do use the co-working spaces that we have here at the condo, or I'll just go downstairs and kind of take a walk. There's a little sitting area and a what do you call it? I guess a little garden atrium breezeway sort of area. It just has a lot of little sitting places and things like that you can sit at and just kind of relax out in the sun and enjoy. So I'll include a video of that. We'll see. But I didn't show that on the tour, so I probably will go ahead and include that. But basically, when it comes to me like catching a vibe and just basically trying to do fun things for myself while still having a child here, it's all in moderation and just takes a bit of planning. When people do ask me to go places, I'm typically not the best when it comes to last minute invitations. So I'll typically plan something out with a friend, or say if I make a choice that I'm going to go somewhere, if I have a couple of days to plan it, I'm like, okay, I can do that. And so I'll plan it out. I'll usually prep my son like, hey, on this day, I'm going to be heading out and doing whatever it is I'm going to be doing. And I'll usually do that. And then when it comes to like going to the grocery store and going to the 7-Eleven and different things like that, he's not really too interested all the time. Sometimes he'd prefer to just stay home. So I usually go on my own, and that gives me time to just kind of walk, have my headphones on, listening to whatever it is that I'm listening to, and just enjoy myself. And just as far as just being here in the house, like we do have good, clear separations, which was a big factor for me when I was making the decision on coming here. And so me having my room that is a good distance away from where he is, because he usually hangs out here in the living room, just having my room separated completely, me having, of course, a door to close, and I kind of just go into my own little realm, do my own little thing. And he's pretty much the same when it comes to that. We've been like that for a long time. We kind of had the same setup when we were at our previous place. And so we've kind of grown accustomed. Both of us are really fine just doing our own thing. So that really helps as well. Well, I would say raising a Black child in Thailand is, I would say, fairly simple. That's kind of when you generalize, but when you break it down to our specific situation, we live here in Bangkok. In Bangkok, there are mainly locals here. And one thing I will say about Thai locals is they mind their business. They're not worried about what I'm doing. No one's knocking on my door. I rarely get anyone that, is speaking to me other than saying hello. So I personally don't mind that at all. It kind of fits my personality. It fits my style. I'm only good for small talk for a very short amount of time. So I would say when it comes to raising a Black child here in Thailand, or here in Bangkok, in the area that I live in, I would say it's really easy as far as ease of us, moving around, doing the things we're doing. One of the major things that I do like about Thailand in general, and I experienced this even more so when I was in Phuket, is the people are not shocked to see foreigners. Like, it's not like, we're not amazing them. They're not seeing something that they've never seen before. Now, while in this area, it may not be common for them to see foreigners around here. It's not as if they don't go into the city and see foreigners, in all the different aspects of the city. And so I really love that we're not receiving, the shock stares and different things like that. And so he's able to just feel normal as a child. And I'm very sure he sees, that the people are different. And, I had to kind of correct him. He had an Americanized thought process when he initially came, and he would say things like, well, they don't speak English, and, all these kind of things. And I, kind of had to explain it in the sense of, how would you feel if people came from other countries to the US and they were trying to make you speak other languages, where it's not, it's not, of course, impossible or unheard of that people are bilingual or polyglots for that matter. But just try to get him into the mindset of basically having respect for others, their culture. And I think completely putting him in a scenario where he is truly the minority. He can really definitely see how it feels for others, especially when and if, he decides to return back to the US. And so I would say raising a Black child in Thailand is pretty much the same as raising a Black child in other places. You're going to always kind of give them a heads up about, the little things and the nuance of how we, carry ourselves, code switch, all kinds of different things, just as Black people, especially Black Americans. But I'm feeling like it's been not too different as far as, raising him in America. You give some of the same pep talks, you correct some of the same behaviors, and you do some of the same things. I think you're just doing it in a foreign country, and how you handle it and where you handle it typically don't go hand in hand. I think how you handle things is more important than where you're handling them. I can't afford, no, just kidding. So how I afford it is I basically used, I'm mainly on savings. That's how I'm affording this. Especially when it comes to like my housing accommodations, I paid for a lot of it up front. I did use savings to do that. And just moving forward to try to help, sustain myself, I am a travel agent. And so I plan trips, all different types of trips, solo trips, girls trips, group trips, whatever kind of trip you can think of. I do that sort of planning. And then I also have my YouTube channel for content creation. I am not yet monetized, but I am working towards that goal. So thank every single last one of you who are watching, especially if you've gotten to this point and further. Please continue to watch. I will be coming out with more content and everything just about my experience being here with the son, and just anything you guys want to know, let me know. Put it in the comments. I'll definitely be reading through the comments and responding to everyone. So there's that. But then aside from that, everybody doesn't want to be a YouTuber. Everyone doesn't want to be a content creator, influencer, whatever the case may be. And of course, everyone doesn't want to be a travel agent. And so there are tons of different things you can do. You can get online and do, remote work or whatever the case may be. Other things that I'm looking into personally are teaching online with sites like Cambly, Preply, and just teaching or tutoring really in English speaking. So that's one way, just to try to get some things going, and really just trying to use whatever resources I have. I did just recently look into a company called Shift Off. I have not done all the research, so I don't want to really say too much about that one, but it seems like a profile where you're kind of doing not a profile platform, where you're doing customer service for other companies, and it allows you to pick your shifts however you would like. Or I think they let you, I don't know, I think they give you options and you choose, but I'm still working out the logistics of how that goes. If that's something that looks like it's going to work out for me, I'll definitely maybe shoot a video on it or something to that effect. But if you want to know more about just options for work and just earning money while you're here, definitely let me know, and whatever I can help with, I do not mind. I think what surprised me most about being in Bangkok is really that everybody does mind their business. Like I said previously, that's one of the things that I do love, but it was something that I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting for everyone, I knew that that'd be the case for some, but I wasn't expecting it when it came to everyone to be so, just to themselves, to do their own thing. But it does not offend me at all. It's actually kind of my personality as well. I like to have my headphones on, doing my own thing, thinking what I want to think, and, just moving on, just moving around, doing things that way. I would say, I'm trying to think if anything frustrated me or if anything really truly surprised me while I was here. I would say one of the things that kind of popped up quick was whenever I'm taking my son places that are like kid places. I'm not sure if it happens for other venues, but in the States, a lot of the kid places, the places where you go and the kids jump, or, just kid venues in general. In most cases in the States, parents pay a small fee for whatever that is. And then, usually they'll charge a higher price for the kids, because in most cases parents aren't, participating. But I noticed here a lot of times they charge higher cost for adults than they do for children. And that was one thing. But then also, aside from that, even though they do, like I said, so adult and children prices usually different. The adult prices here are usually higher. There's also another thing I've noticed, that some places charge a price for the locals and then charge a completely different price for foreigners. And so when you're looking online for some tickets, I noticed to a water park that I went to, I looked online for tickets and it wouldn't allow me to buy tickets online, and I was confused. So I was like, okay, well, we'll just pay for it when we get there. And the price that was quoted online was, I think the price that was quoted online, I remember the adult price, I think was like 800 baht. And then the price for an adult, I think when I got to the place was about 1,300 baht. So it did go up significantly when I got there, but it was a really nice water park. We enjoyed ourselves. It was a good day. But overall, I would say definitely look out for price differences for foreigners versus locals. And it's not as huge of a deal, but I am not so much used to parents being charged as higher a price as children, if not a higher price than children, going into a lot of these children venues. What I wish somebody would have told me about before I moved to Bangkok is that I should have hugged more people. Like, I should have hugged more of my family members. I should have hugged like my nieces and my nephews, my siblings, my cousin, my sister, just so many people, like my best friend and her kids. I think with a lot of my family members and friends, I think, I was very vocal about the fact that I was planning this move, but I wasn't like showing the process to anyone. I wasn't running it down what I was doing, not to everyone. And so a lot of people, it really didn't even click that I was truly leaving until everybody came to my Bon Voyage birthday dinner. I came basically a week after my birthday, and I'm positive that quite a few people didn't recognize that I was truly leaving until that day. I wish I would have hung out more with people and spent more time with the people that I love prior to leaving, because now I'm always wishing that I could, be with my friends. I see different things happening. My best friend, her kids have had, birthdays, and my nephew's had a birthday, and so many people have had different things going on that I just haven't been able to participate in. And on the flip side, it's kind of a weird feeling because, you want to participate in these things, but I don't live there. It's not easy. It's not like I can just jump on a flight and, run home and, come right on back. And so it's been very different to have those feelings, but be also still happy, where I am, because I'm very happy being here. But it's like you kind of have to make that sacrifice of missing things. It's graduation season. One of my nephews graduated this month. I'm not even sure. I need to check and see if he's already graduated, but I know I have a nephew that graduates this month, and I have a niece that's birthday is coming up next month, and everybody is just still, their life is still flowing, and it's flowing in Austin versus, us being here. And while we were enjoying our time, we still have to miss out on certain things. So you have that sacrifice. And so I really wish someone would have told me to just spend a little bit more time with the people that I love, because that's one thing that I do miss about being in the States. Not homesick yet, but it's something that I definitely miss. And I would say, aside from that, like kind of just segueing back to one of the earlier questions, I just wish I would have organized like a lot better. Like if I would have organized, like logistically organized like my actual things a little bit better, I think that would have been an amazing step for what I could have done. But overall, just gave a few more hugs to the people who really, 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 truly mattered, and just make sure that they knew for certain that I love them. And, that's something that I would have done prior to leaving. And I wish I would have known to do that before I made that move. Now, if you're dreaming of moving abroad, being a single parent is not a limitation. It's a really different kind of power. If any of the answers that I gave helped you or really just gave you something to think about, hit the like button down below, drop a comment, and make sure you subscribe. I'm just getting started, so there's about to be a lot more content coming your way. Thank you all again for subscribing. Thank you to everyone who's watching, and I really appreciate the support.